Chapter 1. The Illusion of Control. The quiet trap of approval, the need to be liked, is one of the most subtle forms of self-betrayal. It starts innocently. A glance towards someone's reaction. A pause before speaking to make sure your truth won't make others uncomfortable. The constant adjusting of tone, look, or posture to appear more acceptable. You tell yourself you're being polite, adaptable, easy to love. But underneath, what's really happening is erosion. Piece by piece, your authenticity dissolves to fit inside someone else's comfort zone. Approval addiction doesn't feel dangerous at first because it often hides behind praise. People call you humble, kind, or selfless. But when those compliments become currency for your worth, you begin to spend your soul on them. And every time you silence yourself to earn validation, you trade a bit of freedom for temporary peace. The illusion is that control lies in how others see you. That if you can manage perception, you'll finally be safe. The truth is the opposite. Control begins when you stop performing and start being. The moment you release the performance, freedom doesn't arrive when the world approves of you. It arrives when you approve of yourself enough to no longer need applause. The most radiant people are not the ones who fit in perfectly. They're the ones who move in alignment with who they are, even if that alignment disturbs the comfort of others. When you let go of needing to be understood, you stop explaining your piece to those committed to misunderstanding it. When you release the urge to defend your boundaries, you realize the boundary itself is the explanation. Turning inward is an art because it asks you to reparent your energy, to become the safe place you've been searching for. The energetic leak. Every time you wonder what someone thinks about you, a little thread of your energy leaves your body. It floats toward them, trying to decode their opinion, their tone, their silence. Multiply that by dozens of interactions a day, and it's no wonder your mind feels crowded. Your energy is everywhere but home. The first step in reclaiming peace is energetic recall. Calling back the fragments of yourself scattered across conversations, memories, and social media scrolls. Whisper to yourself, all of my energy returns to me cleansed and restored. Do this often. Energy follows intention, and intention is your most sacred currency. The myth of reputation. Reputation is a story others tell about you. Character is the story you live when no one's watching. The moment you choose to prioritize the latter, you become unshakable. The world may twist your story, but your spirit knows the truth. What others think about you is a reflection of their own perspective, not your reality. Opinions are mirrors, not measurements. The next time you feel misunderstood, ask yourself, am I being misunderstood? Or am I finally being seen clearly by someone who doesn't benefit from my light? The weight of being seen. Being visible can feel heavy when you've spent years equating visibility with judgment. But when you shift your mindset, visibility becomes sacred, a form of service. The goal is not to be invisible. It's to be visible without losing yourself in the process. To master detachment, you must first learn to witness yourself the way the universe does, with neutrality, compassion, and no agenda. You are not here to convince anyone to understand your frequency. You are here to live it. Mirror moment. Where in your life are you performing instead of simply being? Who are you when no one is watching or commenting? What parts of yourself feel safest when hidden? Unshakable affirmation. I am safe in my truth. I release the need to be understood by anyone but myself. My peace is not up for negotiation. I am no longer performing for love. I am love. Every version of me that seeks validation now rests in peace. When you stop negotiating your truth, detachment isn't coldness, it's clarity. It's the moment you stop negotiating who you are just to be tolerated. You start noticing where you shrink in conversations, how you soften your tone to sound nicer, how you apologize for existing in spaces you were born to illuminate. True liberation begins the instant you realize peace is not a group project. It's a solo contract between you and your higher self. People who depend on your compliance will always label your confidence as defiance. Let them. Their discomfort is proof that your energy has evolved beyond their control. The addiction to explanation is a strange relief that comes from over-explaining yourself. It feels like you're protecting your reputation. But in truth, every unnecessary explanation is an energetic receipt you hand out to prove you're worthy of respect you already deserve. Start practicing silence as power, not the silence of suppression, but the silence of sovereignty. The next time you're tempted to justify a boundary, replace words with a gentle smile. Let your peace finish the sentence. Learning to be misunderstood. Being misunderstood is sacred initiation. Every woman who chooses authenticity will eventually walk through the valley of misinterpretation. Let them talk. Let them twist. Truth has stamina, lies need maintenance. While they gossip, you grow. While they assume, you ascend. The irony is that most people don't actually see you, they see the reflection of their own limits projected onto you. Their judgment isn't personal, it's proof of what they have yet to heal. Turning the gaze inward. Every external fixation is an inner avoidance. The moment you feel obsessed with how you're perceived, pause and redirect that same attention inward. What part of me is asking to be seen by me? When you learn to witness yourself, the world becomes irrelevant background noise. You stop craving applause because you're too busy admiring your own growth. You stop chasing closure because you've given it to yourself. The luxury of emotional independence. Emanation independence is the highest form of wealth. To wake up in a state of self-approval, no matter what is or isn't said about you, is true opulence. Luxury isn't only silk robes and candlelit mornings, it's waking up without resentment, moving through the day without comparison, and going to bed unbothered. That is divine elegance. Cultivate rituals that remind you of your sovereignty. Long walks without your phone, mirror moments where you compliment yourself out loud, playlists that honor your evolution. Protect your mornings from noise. They are your sacred ground. The end of overconsumption. The need for external validation often hides inside digital habits. You scroll not to connect but to confirm. Am I enough yet? Start a detox. Unfollow accounts that make you doubt yourself. Replace scrolling with stillness. When you reduce input, your intuition amplifies. The more you listen inward, the less you chase outward, reclaiming your narrative. People will always create stories about you. Let them write fan fiction. You don't owe them an edit. You are the author, not the audience. Every time you choose grace over gossip, focus over defense, creation over reaction, you take the pen back. Mirror moments. Where in your life are you still negotiating your truth for comfort? Which boundaries drain you the most to explain? How would your day feel if you moved through it expecting nothing from anyone but yourself? Unshakable affirmations. Me validation comes from within. It cannot be revoked. I am the calm within every storm of opinion. My silence speaks volumes of self-trust. I no longer chase closure. I create it. I am the author of my peace, and the editor of my energy. Chapter 2. The mirror effect. Seeing yourself everywhere. The universe is a mirror, and every person you meet is a reflection of a part of you. Sometimes they reflect your power, sometimes your pain, and sometimes they simply show you what you've outgrown. Once you understand this, judgment softens. You stop asking, why are they like this, and start asking, what is this moment showing me about me? When you live from this awareness, life becomes a classroom rather than a courtroom. You are not here to defend yourself, you're here to discover yourself. Every trigger becomes a teacher. Every compliment a confirmation. Every heartbreak an invitation to heal. The law of reflection. Everything you focus on expands because attention is energy. When you dwell on what someone did to you, you feed the story of victimhood. When you observe without attachment, you feed wisdom. It's not about spiritual bypassing or pretending you're unaffected. It's about understanding that reaction reinforces reality. Energy cannot lie. If you constantly encounter disrespect, it's an invitation to examine where you've tolerated it within. If you keep meeting unavailable people, it's often a mirror for the parts of yourself you keep unavailable: your emotions, your softness, your presence. Awareness turns pain into data, and data into direction. The mirror doesn't judge you. A mirror doesn't tell you you're wrong. It simply reveals what is. The problem isn't the reflection, it's our resistance to it. You may notice the same patterns repeating in different forms because you keep rejecting the lesson. The universe will keep sending you mirrors until you stop running from your own gaze. When you finally look without flinching, clarity replaces chaos. You stop trying to change others and start refining your vibration. Alignment doesn't come from control, it comes from awareness. Emotional triggers as portals. Triggers are not punishments, they are portals leading you home. Each emotional reaction is an old wound asking for acknowledgement. When you pause instead of reacting, you give yourself a chance to respond with consciousness rather than conditioning. Next time you're triggered, breathe and ask, where in my body do I feel this? What does this remind me of? What truth am I avoiding right now? By answering with honesty, you dissolve the energy rather than recycling it. Maturity is not the absence of emotion, it's the mastery of reaction. Projection, the hidden language of the unhealed. We see others not as they are, but as we are. Projection is the ego's way of avoiding self-confrontation. When someone irritates you for being confident, it may be your own suppressed boldness begging to be expressed. When someone's laziness frustrates you, it could reflect your exhaustion from always over-functioning. Once you recognize projection, compassion becomes effortless. You stop personalizing others' behavior because you understand everyone is revealing their inner world. Reflections in relationships. Very connection is a spiritual mirror. Friendships, partnerships, even passing encounters. People enter your life to show you your boundaries, your worth, your capacity to love, or your need to let go. Some mirrors reflect your beauty so you can see it clearly. Others reflect your shadows so you can heal them. Both are sacred. Don't cling to the mirrors once the lesson is learned. Gratitude closes the chapter gracefully. Release with love, not resistance. The mirror of successive and success is a mirror. When you witness someone thriving, and it sparks jealousy, that's not a flaw, it's information. Jealousy is simply admiration with self-doubt attached. It's proof of what's possible for you once you remove disbelief. Transform envy into evidence. If she can, I can too. Let others' light remind you of your own. Refining your reflection. Turning inward means cleaning the mirror, removing the fog of fear, guilt, and external noise so your reflection becomes pure. You do this by forgiving yourself for every time you doubted your power and by releasing the urge to be perfect. Clarity is not about flawlessness. It's about truth. A clean mirror doesn't make you prettier, it simply shows you what was always there. Mirror moment woe, or what in your life consistently triggers you. And what might those triggers be teaching you? What patterns keep repeating? And what unlearned truth could be beneath them? How can you view others' success as evidence of your own potential instead of proof of your lack? Unshakable affirmations. Every person I meet is a mirror guiding me toward deeper self-awareness. I am willing to see the lesson behind every trigger. I no longer project, I reflect, learn, and evolve. Others' success mirrors my own potential. My awareness is my greatest protection. Chapter 3. The Noise Detox. Volume of the world is loud. Notifications, opinions, expectations. Everyone has something to say. The noise is subtle at first, then suffocating. It pulls you into constant reaction. Who liked what? Who said what? Who moved without you? But peace isn't found by adding more. It's created by subtracting what no longer deserves your attention. Silence is not emptiness, it's information. In stillness, you can finally hear the difference between your voice and everyone else's. Digital clutter, spiritual status. Your phone is a portal of energy exchange. Every post you scroll past, every comment you read, every DM you open is a vibration entering your nervous system. If you begin your morning with this flood, your mind is already crowded before your spirit has spoken. Create boundaries with technology like you would with a person. Loving, firm, and intentional. Turn off unnecessary notifications. Replace doom scrolling with daydreaming. Allow silence to be your morning playlist. Not your attention is sacred currency. Spend it wisely. Reclaiming mental bandwidth. Every thought requires energy. When you entertain gossip, comparison, or imaginary arguments, you drain the battery meant for creation. Ask yourself daily, does this deserve my energy? If not, withdraw your investment. Protecting your peace is not avoidance, it's discernment. When you start filtering what you consume, music, conversations, even internal dialogue, you'll notice your creativity expanding again. Empty space isn't laziness, it's fertile soil. Growth needs quiet. The art of intentional isolation. Solitude is medicine when used consciously. People fear it because they've confused isolation with loneliness. But when you choose solitude, you're not escaping others, you're returning to yourself. Schedule time each week where no one has access to you. Let your phone rest in another room. Light a candle, breathe, stretch, write, or simply exist. Watch how fast your intuition starts whispering again, once it realizes the line is finally clear. Solitude is how your higher self speaks. Connection is how she expresses. You need both. Cleansing. The energy of your environment. Noise isn't only audible, it's energetic. A messy space, chaotic schedule, or cluttered desk can feel just as loud as a crowded room. Luxury is organization. Minimalism isn't about owning less. It's about being owned by less. Each morning, open a window and imagine stale energy leaving. Each evening, wipe down your surfaces like a sacred ritual. When your space breathes, your spirit exhales. The power of selective silence. Silence is not withdrawal, it's strategy. Every conversation doesn't require your commentary. Every provocation doesn't deserve your proof. Selective silence is how the powerful rest. It's how queens maintain mystery. When you no longer rush to explain, people start listening differently. Silence is the most elegant form of confidence. When peace feels boring, if you've lived in chaos, peace will feel unfamiliar at first, almost dull. Don't mistake calm for emptiness. It's your nervous system learning safety. Let boredom become your bridge to brilliance. When nothing is happening, everything is aligning. The universe rearranges itself in quiet moments. Be patient. What looks like stillness is often preparation. Mirror moment. Which habits add unnecessary noise to your life? What parts of your day could be reclaimed as sacred quiet? How can you transform solitude into nourishment instead of punishment? Unshakable affirmation. Silence is my sanctuary. I detox from noise to reconnect with wisdom. My attention is my luxury, and I spend it intentionally. Solitude strengthens me. Stillness restores me. Peace is my natural rhythm. Chapter 4. The Self-Acceptance Formula. Root of wholeness. Self-acceptance isn't a finish line you cross. It's a rhythm you practice. It's the act of coming home to yourself over and over again, even on days you don't feel worthy of arrival. The world sells self-improvement. The soul whispers self-acceptance. The difference is subtle but life-changing. Self-improvement says fix what's wrong. Self-acceptance says love what's here, and evolve from love, not lack. When you finally stop auditioning for your own approval, peace stops being a visitor and becomes your permanent address, and learning conditional worth. Many of us were taught to earn worthiness through performance, grades, appearance, productivity, perfection. We learned that being loved meant being impressive. So we became shapeshifters, mirroring what others wanted instead of revealing who we are. To accept yourself, you must rewrite that script. You are not valuable because you do. You are valuable because you are. When you internalize that truth, the pressure to constantly prove dissolves. Perfection is not the goal. Presence is. The inner dialogue audit. The inner dialogue audit. Listen to how you talk to yourself when no one's around. Would you tolerate that tone from someone else? The voice in your head sets the thermostat for your self-worth. Start replacing criticism with curiosity. Instead of "I should be further along," try "What can I learn from where I am?" Instead of "I hate this about me," try "This is the part of me still." Learning safety. Every time you choose compassion over condemnation, you rewire your nervous system for peace. Forgiving your former self-acceptance includes every version of you. The naive one, the reactive one, the one who settled, the one who didn't know better. Forgiveness doesn't mean forgetting. It means releasing the resentment that keeps you chained to old identities. Speak to your past self the way a mother would to her child. You were doing the best you could with the awareness you had. Every mistake was an introduction to wisdom. You can't shame yourself into growth. You can only love yourself there. Body as a temple, not a project. Your body has carried you through every chapter, through heartbreak, through hustle, through healing. It deserves admiration, not micromanagement. When you stop treating your body like a performance prop and start treating it like a sacred partner, confidence becomes effortless. Feed it with respect, move it with gratitude, dress it like it's royalty, not repair. Luxury is treating your body as your first home, not your punishment. The currency of enoughness. Feeling enough is the most radical act in a world built on insecurity. Marketing thrives on your doubt. Capitalism worships your comparison. But when you stand in the vibration of enough, you become unmarketable to fear. Enoughness is quiet. It doesn't need to prove, post, or persuade. It simply exists, like sunlight that never asks for permission to shine. The practice of receiving. You cannot receive what you believe you don't deserve. Many women pray for abundance but secretly feel unworthy of ease. Acceptance opens the gate. When you accept your goodness, love flows toward you without resistance. Start small. Accept compliments without deflection. Say thank you instead of "it's nothing." Accept help without guilt, joy without justification. Allow yourself to be seen in your softness. That's where your true magnetism lives. Mere moment. What conditions have you attached to your own worth? How does your inner voice speak to you when you fail? What would change if you treated yourself as someone already worthy, not someone trying to earn it? Unshakable affirmations. I am already enough, without performance or proof. I release judgment and choose compassion for every version of myself. My body is my temple, not my test. I grow from love, not lack. I am worthy of rest, joy, and ease simply because I exist. Chapter 5. Emotional Alchemy. Science of the soul. Alchemy is the ancient art of turning lead into gold. Emotional alchemy is its modern form, turning pain into power, shame into self-knowledge, and loss into liberation. You are both the experiment and the alchemist. Every emotion is energy in motion. When you trap that energy with judgment or suppression, it hardens into heaviness. When you let it move through breath, through tears, through honest expression, it transforms. The goal isn't to stay positive. It's to stay present enough to let energy complete its cycle. Permission to feel. Many of us were raised to apologize for our emotions. We learn to shrink our sadness, hide our anger, and tone down our joy to make others comfortable. But unexpressed emotion doesn't disappear. It hides in the body, waiting to be witnessed. Give yourself permission to feel without editing. Cry without explaining. Laugh without moderating. Rage without guilt. Emotion is not weakness. It's evidence of aliveness. You cannot be powerful if you cannot feel. From reaction to response. When you master emotional alchemy, you learn to pause between trigger and reaction. That pause is your power. It's where transformation begins. Instead of asking, "Why is this happening to me?" ask, "What is this teaching me about myself?" Emotional maturity isn't the absence of pain, it's the ability to choose growth inside it. Every heartbreak refines your standards. Every betrayal strengthens your boundaries. Every disappointment redirects you toward alignment. Transmuting anger into clarity is sacred fire. It's not meant to be extinguished, but channeled. When used consciously, It illuminates where your boundaries have been crossed and where your voice has been silenced. Instead of suppressing it, breathe through it and let it guide you to action. Ask your anger, what truth are you protecting? Once you find the message beneath the emotion, the fire becomes focus. Transforming fear into foresight. Fear is often intuition in disguise. It appears when your soul senses expansion coming before your mind does. Don't demonize it, decode it. Write down what you fear most and ask, what does this fear want me to prepare for? Often, fear just wants structure, reassurance, or a plan. Once acknowledged, it transforms into foresight. Turning pain into power. Pain introduces you to depth. Without it, wisdom would be theoretical. With it, wisdom becomes embodied. The most magnetic people are not those untouched by pain, but those who've learned to wear it as polish, not armor. Pain gives empathy texture. It teaches you how to love with boundaries and lead with compassion. When something hurts, it's not the end of your story, it's the sharpening of your instrument. Gold must endure fire before it shines. So must you. Joy as the final transmutation. True alchemy ends in joy, not the fleeting kind that depends on circumstance, but the deep joy that exists simply because you survived, learned, and loved anyway. Joy is resilience returning home. It's the evidence that your heart stayed open despite everything that tried to close it. Make joy your rebellion. Smile in rooms that once witnessed your pain. Laugh in places where you once held your breath. That's what turning inward creates an unbreakable core that glows. Mirror moment. What emotion do you most often suppress? And what message might it carry for you? How can you begin turning your pain into wisdom instead of identity? What would it look like to celebrate your resilience instead of hiding it? Unshakable affirmations. Every emotion I feel is sacred data guiding me toward growth. My pain is not my prison. It is my passage to power. I honor my anger, listen to my fear, and move with faith. I allow energy to flow through me and transform into light. Joy is my proof of healing. Chapter 6. Boundaries as energy shields. Architecture of peace. Boundaries are not walls. They are doors with locks you control. They are the architecture of self-respect. Invisible lines that preserve your energy, protect your focus, and remind others where access ends. People often misunderstand boundaries as rejection, but they are actually invitations. Invitations for others to meet you at a higher frequency. A woman without boundaries is an open tab of energy. Everyone takes a sip, and she's left drained. A woman with boundaries is a sacred reservoir. She pours only where the soil is fertile. You cannot be unshakable without structure. Energy leaks and emotional invoice. Every time you over-explain, overgive, or overstay, you send an emotional invoice to yourself that drains your vitality. Boundaries are how you close those energetic tabs. Ask yourself daily, who or what am I giving energy to that isn't giving life back? Am I saying yes to avoid guilt or because I truly want? 2. If the answer is guilt, that's not generosity. That's self-abandonment wearing a halo. Start measuring interactions by how you feel afterward, recharged or reduced. Your body will tell you before your mind rationalizes. The courage to disappoint setting. Boundaries will disappoint people who benefited from your lack of them. Let them be disappointed. Their discomfort is not your responsibility. It's their opportunity to self-regulate. You're not cold for being clear. You are not mean for protecting your energy. You are simply no longer available for the emotional chaos that used to feel like connection. Boundaries are the language of self-worth. Digital boundaries. Energy leaks don't just happen in person. They happen through screens. Mute, unfollow, block, log out. Protect your digital peace like your physical one. You do not owe anyone constant access to your attention. Your phone is a tool, not a tether. Respond on your terms, not theirs. Every time you check your phone out of obligation instead of choice, you reinforce a pattern of energetic servitude. Reclaim your time. Reclaim your attention. Emotional minimalism. You can't maintain inner luxury in emotional clutter. You don't need to explain why you're quiet, why you've outgrown someone, or why you changed. Evolution doesn't need permission slips. Emotional minimalism is the art of keeping only what aligns with peace. You don't owe anyone chaos disguised as closeness. Not every bond deserves renewal. Learn to release with grace. No arguments. No resentment. No explanations. Just distance and peace. Boundaries and abundance. When you protect your energy, you expand your capacity to receive. Boundaries create bandwidth. The less you tolerate what drains you, the more room you have for what sustains you. Abundance flows into uncluttered spaces. Your no is magnetic. It tells the universe exactly what belongs to you. The aura of self-respect. You don't have to announce your boundaries once you embody them. They radiate through your energy. People can feel what they can and cannot do around you. Your presence starts speaking for you. Boundaries are not about control. They are about clarity. And clarity is peace. When you walk in self-respect, your energy becomes an aura of quiet authority. People adjust naturally, not because you demanded it, but because you demonstrated it. Mirror moment. Where in your life do you still confuse guilt with generosity? What emotional invoices are still open, waiting to be closed? What relationships feel heavier after every interaction? And what boundaries could lighten them? Unshakable affirmations. Me boundaries are love in structure. I release guilt for protecting my peace. I no longer explain peace to those who profit from my chaos. Every no I speak creates space for aligned yeses. I am safe, sovereign, and energetically whole. Chapter 7. The Art of Isolation. Power in your own presence. Most people fear being alone because they've never met themselves without distraction. But solitude isn't punishment, it's presence. It's the sacred space where you stop absorbing other people's frequencies and finally hear your own. When you're alone, you meet the real you, not the version performing, pleasing, or adjusting. You learn your rhythms, your thoughts, your desires without interference. That's where clarity lives. The most magnetic people are those who can sit in silence without needing an audience to confirm their worth. Loneliness versus solitude. Loneliness is emptiness. Solitude is fullness. Loneliness says, I need someone else to fill me. Solitude says, I am whole even when no one is here. When you shift from loneliness to solitude, you turn isolation into incubation. Your ideas mature in the silence. Your peace becomes potent. Your energy recharges like a phone plugged directly into source. Every empire, vision, and reinvention begins in solitude. The season of separation. There comes a time in every transformation when you must step back. It's not rejection, it's refinement. You may outgrow conversations, friendships, environments, and even identities. You'll feel the pull to detach from noise and immerse in stillness. Don't resist it. This is your spiritual cocoon. Cocoons look like confinements to the untrained eye, but inside them, wings are forming. When people start saying, you've changed, say, I'm supposed to. Silence, as a status symbol in a world addicted to visibility. Silence becomes a luxury. Everyone wants to be seen. Few want to be centered. Isolation, when intentional, becomes your status symbol. Proof that you're building from depth, not noise. Use your silence strategically. Work quietly. Heal privately. Build in peace. Let your results make the announcement. The solitary glow up when you pour your energy inward. Everything external recalibrates. Your skin clears. Your posture straightens. Your intuition heightens. And your creativity returns. You stop chasing and start attracting. You stop reacting and start observing. People will notice, but they won't be able to explain it. That's the solitary glow. Up. It's what happens when a woman becomes the love, validation, and peace she used to seek. The art of re-emergence. Isolation is not meant to last forever. It's the space between who you were and who you're becoming. Once your energy is restored, you re-enter the world with sharper boundaries, deeper peace, and stronger intuition. You no longer beg to be chosen. You select. You walk differently, because solitude taught you sufficiency, and sufficiency is the quietest form of confidence. Mirror momento. You fear being alone, or do you fear meeting who you truly are in silence? What has solitude already revealed to you about yourself? How can you turn your alone time into sacred time, rituals, reflection, or restoration? Unshakable affirmations. Solitude is not my weakness, it's my sanctuary. I no longer chase connection from emptiness, I create it from wholeness. My silence is sacred, it refines my spirit. Isolation is my incubation. I am never alone, I am always with myself, and that is enough. Chapter 8. Building a sacred relationship with self-love. You've been waiting for. Relationship that defines every other one is the one you have with yourself. It sets the tone for how you're treated, what you tolerate, and what you attract. When you nurture it, you become magnetic. When you neglect it, everything external begins to reflect that void. Many people are chasing connection without ever establishing one within. They want love, but not reflection. They want validation, but not vulnerability. But you cannot receive from others what you refuse to give yourself. You must become the source. Becoming your own safe space. Safety isn't found in people, it's found in self-trust. When you can count on yourself to tell the truth, to honor your boundaries, and to protect your peace, you become your own sanctuary. This doesn't mean you never need anyone. It means you never depend on anyone for stability. You can love without losing yourself. You can give without depletion. You can stand alone without feeling abandoned. That is divine security. Every time you choose peace over panic, you reinforce self-trust. Every time you keep a promise to yourself, you strengthen the bond. Consistency is how you show love to your future self. Romancing the inner world. Self-love isn't just a mindset. It's a ritual. It's in the way you talk to yourself when you're alone, how you move through your morning, how you prepare your meals, how you rest. It's luxury in the smallest gestures. Light candles for no reason. Buy yourself flowers just because. Write love letters to your future self. When you treat your life like a ceremony, even ordinary moments feel divine. Romance is not something you wait to receive. It's something you cultivate. The mirror as altar. The mirror used to be a battleground for criticism. Now it becomes an altar for praise. Look at yourself and speak devotion, not dissection. Every morning, say, I am the embodiment of beauty, peace, and power. You are not obligated to humble your light to make others comfortable. Confidence is not arrogance. It's gratitude expressed through posture. Adoration is spiritual maintenance. You deserve to be mesmerized by yourself. Representing the inner child. Your inner child is still waiting for the love, patience, and validation she was denied. Every time you speak harshly to yourself, flinches. Every time you withhold joy until you deserve it, she hides. Invite her back. Let her play again, create again, laugh again. You heal her not through perfection, but through permission. When you nurture her, you restore your innocence, the purest form of confidence. Partnership with the higher self. Just as you care for the inner child, you must also court your higher self, the future version of you who already has the peace, abundance, and self-assurance you desire. Speak to her daily. Ask her what she would do, how she would respond, what she would believe. When you align your current habits with her energy, you collapse time. This relationship between your inner child, your present self, and your higher self is your divine trinity. Together, they create an unbreakable bond of love and direction. Becoming the source. When you finally fill your own cup, you stop fearing loss. You no longer beg for attention because you've already given it to yourself. You no longer chase love because you are love. The relationship with yourself becomes the template for every other relationship. Peaceful, honest, reciprocal, and free. That's when everything begins to flow effortlessly toward you. Because energy always mirrors belief. Mirror memento, you treat yourself with the same care and consistency you expect from others. How can you show devotion to yourself daily through simple rituals? What would change if you saw your reflection as your soulmate, not your critic? Unshakable affirmation. CA: my own home, my own peace, and my own validation. I keep promises to myself and honor my word as sacred. I romance my life and treat ordinary moments like ceremony. I am loved, chosen, and cherished by me first. My relationship with myself sets the standard for the world. Chapter 9: The Return of Power. Calling back your energy. There comes a moment in every woman's evolution when she realizes, I have given too much of myself away. Pieces of your energy scatter to every person you tried to please, every argument you over-explained, every dream you abandoned to be understood. You don't lose power, you just leave it in places you've outgrown. The return of power begins with awareness. You whisper, I call back all of my energy, cleansed, restored, and magnified. And energy listens. You feel it in your spine, in your breath, in your presence. Power isn't something you chase. It's something you remember. The currency of attention. Attention is power. What you focus on grows, and what you withdraw from withers. The moment you stop feeding situations that deplete you, you begin reclaiming energy. You don't have to fight for control. You only have to stop donating it. Refuse to argue where peace is not the goal. Refuse to prove where truth is already evident. Refuse to revisit rooms where you had to shrink to fit. Every no to distraction is a yes to expansion. Taking power out of the past. The past loses power when it stops being fed by your attention. You can't rewrite what happened, but you can reclaim who you were when it happened. Go back mentally, not to dwell, but to retrieve the parts of you that froze in moments of pain. The girl who didn't speak up, the woman who stayed too long, the dreamer who stopped believing. Tell each version, you are safe now, we made it. You can come home. Healing is retrieval. You are not broken, just temporarily scattered. Energetic sovereignty is averaging means self-governance. The ability to manage your emotional climate no matter what happens externally. You don't need control over others when you have mastery over your reactions. When you own your peace, no one can manipulate you with chaos. You no longer chase apologies to feel whole or closure to feel calm. You become the calm. And calm is the highest form of dominance. Power in softness. True power is quiet. It's in the softness that doesn't flinch, the composure that doesn't beg to be understood, the grace that refuses to become hardened by pain. Power doesn't scream, it radiates. Softness is not submission. It's strategy. It's knowing you don't have to match energy. You can transmute it. You don't react to disrespect. You rise above it until it loses aim. Manifesting through detachment. When you stop clutching, you start receiving. Power and desperation cannot coexist. Detachment is the energy of a woman who knows that what's meant for her moves toward her naturally. Let go of forcing timelines, people, or outcomes. Let faith replace control. The most magnetic energy is ease. Your job is not to chase. It's to align. Power as presence. Presence is pure authority. When you walk into a room fully in your body, heart open, shoulders back, spirit centered, you command energy without effort. Presence doesn't beg to be seen. It is the seeing. Practice entering spaces with this quiet knowing. I belong here because I exist. Here, you'll notice how the room adjusts, not because you demanded it, but because your frequency set the tone. The full circle woman you are now is the combination of every fragment you've ever recovered. You are the healer and the healed, the teacher and the student, the mirror and the reflection. This is what it means to return to power, to no longer outsource peace. To no longer borrow worth, to no longer wait for permission. Power has always been your natural state, you simply remembered Mirror moment: where have you left your energy that's ready to be reclaimed? Which situations still drain you because you keep mentally revisiting them? What would your life look like if you stopped managing perception and started mastering presence? Unshakable affirmation: say, call back all of my energy, cleansed and restored. My presence is power. My peace is protection. I no longer chase control. I embody calm. Every version of me returns home to strength. I am whole, sovereign, and complete. Chapter 10: Sovereign Woman. The reign of self-mastery. Sovereignty isn't about control over others. It's mastery over self. It's the ability to move through the world without explaining your peace, defending your worth, or negotiating your intuition. A sovereign woman leads herself. She doesn't wait for permission, validation, or applause. She makes decisions from alignment, not approval. She moves with precision and presence. Her actions speak louder than her explanations. The world responds to the woman who responds to herself. Peace as power. Peace is the highest frequency of power because it cannot be manipulated. When you are at peace, chaos loses its leverage. You don't flinch when someone withdraws love. You don't fold under pressure. You remain centered because your stability no longer depends on anyone else's consistency. Peace is not passive. It's active regulation. It's choosing stillness when you could choose reaction. It's walking away instead of arguing for your worth. It's saying, I trust myself to handle what comes next. That is unshakable energy, walking with intent. Sovereign women walk differently. They don't rush. They move with deliberate grace, every step a declaration of grounded confidence. They understand that being selective with their time and energy isn't arrogance. It's awareness. You've learned that anything that costs your peace is too expensive. You've learned that not everyone deserves access to your presence, even if they once had it. And you've learned that saying no without explanation is a complete sentence. Intentional living is luxury. The divine balance. Power without softness becomes ego. Softness without power becomes passivity. The sovereign woman is both firm and feminine, logical and intuitive, radiant and reserved. She knows when to speak and when to stay silent. She knows when to surrender and when to stand her ground. She knows that grace is not weakness, it's her crown. Duality is her design. Commanding the room without competing. There's a difference between attention and influence. Attention comes from volume. Influence comes from vibration. You no longer need to compete for spotlight. You are the light. Your aura introduces you before your words do. People feel your presence and remember your energy because it carries weight, truth, and calm authority. You don't need to convince anyone of your value. You embody it. The moment you stop trying to be impressive and start being authentic, the universe aligns in your favor. The legacy of inner wealth. True wealth begins internally. Clarity, peace, time, alignment. Material abundance flows naturally to a woman who already feels full. Your inner world becomes the blueprint for your external empire. When you treat your energy like currency, your reality becomes luxurious by default. You are no longer hustling for belonging. You are building from fulfillment. Your discipline becomes devotion. Your consistency becomes confidence. And your calm becomes command. The era of youth is the era of your full embodiment. No more seeking, shrinking, or doubting. This is the chapter where you reign, softly, wisely, powerfully. You have mastered stillness, solitude, and self-love. You've learned to alchemize pain into purpose. Now, you live in overflow. You've become the woman you once prayed to meet. No crowns required. Your peace is proof enough. Mirror moment. What does sovereignty look like for you in daily life? Where can you embody calm instead of control? How can you use your peace as your power, rather than your silence as your fear? Unshakable affirmation. I am the calm, the confidence, and the crown. I no longer chase peace. I am peace. My worth is not negotiable. It is divine law. I move with intention. grace, and certainty. I am a sovereign woman, whole, wise, and free. Epilogue. The silent crown has no announcements when you arrive at peace. It's quiet. It's the kind of quiet that feels like home after a lifetime of noise. You don't seek validation anymore because you've validated your own existence. You don't crave to be chosen because you've chosen yourself. That's the art of turning inward. That's the essence of being unshakable.